Have you ever been stuck in Atlanta traffic and wish you had a tank so you could drive over all the cars? I know I have. And I know exactly where we can find one. Tanktown, USA.
Smells like America.
All right, so look in here, right here, go back to the camera.
I am Todd Lee Bruss. I am the owner, operator of Tanktown USA. I like to say I'm the janitor and the CEO and everything in between. So what we drive is a British armored personnel carrier called an FV-432. So the FV stands for fighting vehicle, and they're from the 60s. The British Army still uses them. They put a different engine than the one that I've got, but when you look at them, they're exactly the same. And they're about 30,000 pounds, so 15 tons, and yeah, it's 15 tons of fun, so.
Powerful would be one word to describe it, and another, I guess, would be exhilarating.
You just really don't know what you're getting into until you're doing it. Tanks just don't stop for anything, and you really feel that when you're moving through the mud and water.
It's a safe place. The guy up here that does it, he gives a lot of instruction, tells you exactly what to do, and then provides a really great experience beginning to end. You can tell he really enjoys it and he cares about people enjoying their experience.
You can tell the tank, there's a lot to it. You know, it's moving along, but it's powerful. Getting to crush things and drive through the mud and the water. There's a lot of mud out here today, so it's a lot of fun.
For the purists out there, these are armor personnel carriers. I refer to them as tanks. Most people think of them as tanks, but you know, they're really an armor personnel carrier. So you would have a driver and a commander, which is where today when we were driving, where the driver was, and then right behind him was the other passengers. That was the commander's hatch. And then in the back was 10 infantrymen. So I get these actually from England. They were surplus to the public in England, and I went over there and went tank shopping. All the spare parts come from England as well, so it's, you know, it's a lot to keep up with. So I'm always on the hunt for vehicles and parts. But I've got 6 of the armor personnel carriers that we drive. I've actually been doing the tank driving for 7 years, and then the machine gun shooting, that was my big expansion. And that's about a year and a half.
There's a lot in your hand there. It's, you know, there's a lot going on, so it's kind of hard to see where you're shooting. You just trust you're shooting in the right direction.
Very nice.
But, you know, the recoil wasn't bad, but it was powerful.
I've shot a few small firearms before. Nothing like that. That's a whole different experience. A lot of fun. The power of the machine gun as well is pretty impressive.
You feel it in your body, like the repercussions of the bullets, and it's powerful. It's like, it's cool. It's kind of addicting. I would have shot it some more.
I needed a career change. I used to work on big commercial cargo ships, so oil tankers, container ships. These sail all over the world, and had kids, and so wanted to get away from that because you travel away from the area so much. So about, this would be 10 years ago now, I saw someone in Europe doing something similar, and that gave me the bright idea. And then it took about 3 years to get set up. I opened in April of 2013 and been doing this ever since. So this will be my 7th year coming up. When I broached the subject to my wife, it was a tough conversation. Of course, she thought it was crazy, like most people do when you first mention it. But I'd always collected old Army Jeeps and trucks, so it was kind of a hobby. I never had anything tracked like this. And so I told her, if you want to I won't bug you for a month. You can ask people what they think if I open a tank driving business. And at the end of the month, she came back and was like, you need to do this. Like everyone says, this is awesome. So after that, I was home free. And so now she proudly tells people this is how we put food on our table. As crazy as it seems. Yeah, it's a lot of work. As long as you keep it, it's like anything. When they run great, they run great. When they don't, it's a nightmare. It's a special insurance policy to do this, and I had to search pretty long and hard to find. I think it's a little easier now because it's an established business. There's actually, when I first started, it was only one place in Minnesota. And for 4 years, just he and I. Now there's a couple more, so there's 4 in the U.S., essentially. So I think it's a little easier to get now, but when I first started, it was pretty difficult. But permitting, well, in this county, there's no zoning or noise ordinances, so just do whatever you want to do. The stream never stops. Every time I think, people aren't going to show up, here come the calls. So I've just quit worrying about it. After 7 years, it's like, I guess they're going to find me. I don't know how they find me, but they find me, so. I'll have a lot of birthdays, anniversaries. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's 10 people. You just never know. The majority of people are from Atlanta because we're a bedroom community. So it's only 2 hours to the city, so people are coming up for the weekends or whatever. Specifically flying just for this, probably California and Canada. And then I'll get a lot of Europeans that are coming to, they're doing a tour through the Southeast or something, and they'll stop in. Every day is different, every week is different. But in 7 years, I've driven over 4,000 miles out here in little half-mile circles. But no, day in and day out, it just kind of flows, it's just, they all sort of blend together because it's just, we're moving and we're doing it, so, yeah.
My birthday is coming Monday, so as a birthday present to come up here with some friends and get to crush a car.
I've crushed over 2,000 cars, so it's a lot. They're all local, and I just get them, people, luckily we live in the country, and everyone's got a scrap car in their yard, so that's where I get them. I run an ad in the paper, and people just call me, and I buy them, and then at the end, once a year, I'll scrap them all.
So it's a bit of a funny story. So we are in the process of building a house, and I wanted to rent a tank to drive through the old house that we were tearing down.
So when we were knocking a house down before we built our house, my husband was very obsessed with trying to find a tank to drive through the house. And so when I saw a friend post on Instagram at Christmas that they brought their family up here to drive tanks, I was like, perfect, he can crush a car.
Robert's my brother, so anytime you can spend time with your family, especially around a birthday, it's pretty special. So always down for a new adventure, and this was definitely one that piqued my interest. So how often can you get to say that you rode in a tank or crushed a car, or maybe even just got to the North Georgia mountains for that matter?
Got the invitation from Robert a couple of weeks ago. I remember driving by this place a long time ago and thought, well, that would be fun someday to come check this out. Got the opportunity and could not say no.
When y'all are done clomping around, here's some gloves.
Okay.
Right, wear the glasses.
Yep.
You can bust out the front windshield, and you can pop those passenger side.
We can. take 2 riders.
Yeah, but then I was gonna need video.
Well, I was going to take video. Maybe not to your standards, but.
All right. You want to ride? Okay.
Getting to first spray paint on the car, then smash the windows out with a big hammer was fun, but getting to drive over the top of the car was awesome. You know, if you're sitting in traffic, there's days you probably wish you could drive a tank across everybody just to get home.
Just the release, being able to, you know, take energy and smash a car, something you never think you'd be able to do. So it was pretty fun.
Oh gosh, it kind of hits you in your core, but in a really addictive way. I was up on top, so it kind of reminded me of sitting on the back of a school bus, if you remember that as a kid. You got thrown around a lot more, so you felt the movements. Definitely didn't hesitate at all moving through what took some of us down today, walking through the mud. So it was pretty cool to see how effortless it moved around.
It was really fun riding on the top. Like you can feel the power of the tank when they go through the mud or go over the car slower and faster. It's pretty smooth, but you definitely feel the power of the motor.
And I would say the reason to come out here and do this would be to just have a lot of fun, get to see North Georgia and crush a car.
If you're adventurous at all and you want to go try something new, absolutely. Great way to spend an afternoon.
I guess the 30-second elevator pitch is why wouldn't you come out here? You know, it's fun. There's a lot of mud, usually. Sometimes it dries out. Yeah, it's a great time. I mean, that's what everyone tells me, so I'm gonna believe it. I still have fun, and I've been doing it for 7 years. So it can't get any better than this. I mean, people are, they're ready to go. They want to do it. Like today, they don't care about the mud. They don't care about getting dirty. It's just, you know, it's all fun. So, you know, I've never had anyone complain or, as far as I know, leave upset. So it's always, you know, it's always a good time.
I am glad I'm not in all that mud. But I have to admit, it did look like a blast. Now let's pick up the speed with some race cars at Atlanta Motor Sports Park.
My name's Adrian Dewey. I'm CEO of Primal Racing School. Here you've got one of the best facilities literally in the world. You have skid pad, you've got paddocks for testing, you've got one of the top 10 racetracks in the US. What makes the facility very unique is the complexity of that track as well. You know, we're blessed in Atlanta with some amazing tracks, but none as technical as Atlanta Motorsports Park. You've got 16 turns in just over a 2-mile course. 11 of those are blind, particularly when you're in a race car like the SR1 where you're very low down. You've got phenomenal member facilities here as well. Because it's a members club, everything is, you know, from changing rooms, toilets, everything is phenomenal. You know, you're in the hills. I mean, that makes the location too just makes it really unique. You're just in the foothills of the Appalachians. You're surrounded by green. And at the end of the day, you're here to experience not just the cars, the atmosphere, the track, the noise, and the beauty around you. We get a lot of people, they may be driving very nice cars, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a Porsche, anything like that, and their view of a great handling car is founded on what is a road car, primarily. So when you take that car, even something like a Ferrari, which handles phenomenally well, and you put that on a track, it's still really a road car. And so it's compromised. It's not been built for a track, per se. Whereas something like the Radical, it's a race car. It's built solely for the track. I mean, it's very difficult to articulate the differences of driving a race car. The handling is far, far superior. You know, you could have an extremely powerful, 700-800 brake horsepower vehicle on the track. These are only 175 brake horsepower, and this will destroy them because of how they're set up. The fact that they're a downforce car as well, which just gives them way, way more grip at speed. They go through corners much faster. It's counterintuitive for someone driving these for the first time because you get to the limit of what you think is the limit of the car, and then the solution is actually to go faster. Typically you're at the limit and that's where you stop. With these, because you've got that additional downforce at speed, you've actually got to have faith in the car and push the throttle and go even faster. And so it's hard to explain. You go a lot faster, you feel a lot safer, and you have a lot more fun because they're built for the track.
My name is Trevor Andrusko. I am the Director of Motorsports here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. I oversee a bit of the Primal Racing School.
Primal Racing School we're focused on taking people with zero experience and taking them all the way up to being, race car drivers, getting their racing license. So we do, a core course, which is a 3-day school. And the idea there is to take you as a beginner, and then at the end of it, you at least have your novice license.
So we'll start them in the BMWs over my left shoulder and get them up to speed on driving line, geometry, physics, dynamics, getting them to understand what's happening in the vehicle, and just going over the knowledge that's required to do that. So in the racing school, we'll run people through 3 days of classroom, of on-track driving on paddock space, module driving, skid pad, passing drills, rain driving, flags, safety, everything. And at the end of that, if they're up to the ability that we expect through our curriculum, they then get signed off towards a SCCA pro racing license, competition license. It's a bit of what we do for the Drive Strong program as well, which is the teen school.
Drive Strong, it's not-for-profit. It's an awesome course where it's a 1-day focused on teenagers, and the whole focus there is to get them safer on the roads.
Basically what it entails is you have to have a permit for at least 6 months, a driving permit. It's a little bit different than maybe driver's ed. So we focus on the actionable skills that are required to drive on today's road. So we'll take them down to the skid pad and the ice hill and make them lose control, and then make them try to react and fix whatever happened. Talking about braking and turning, one prior to the other, and overall ability of driving a car and what it does take. So in the paddock that we're sitting in right now, we'll do an autocross, which is kind of one of the entry levels in motorsport, and it's a good way to kind of show them everything that they've learned throughout the day, and then we'll make them do it with a phone in front of their face. And we always joke, if your kid hits a lot of cones, it means that's good because they don't text and drive, because they're not used to being at that level of distractedness. So we'll cover the basics, everything from seating position, blind spots, and overall awareness of when driving a vehicle, because doing it wrongly can be pretty bad.
There are other schools and things here with AMP, which we talked about, the teen school. There's a resident stunt driving school here as well, which is phenomenal, called Bobby Orr Motorsport. Bobby Orr is a legend within stunt driving, arguably the best stunt driver of all time. And I think he's got around 16 world records at the moment. And so that's based here as well. They were here last weekend actually. And they do an experience as well, which is incredible.
We have a state-of-the-art go-kart racing facility on the other side of the property that has a massive amount of elevation change, and what we do here is we kind of showcase the best of the best, and what we have for the kart racing side of things is very unique, and it's literally the only one of its kind in the world.
Go-kart track, now that's phenomenal. People don't realize that is probably one of the best go-kart tracks in the world. With ours, you've got a decline of 4 stories. You've got public carts that go 60 miles an hour. And if you're shooting down a hill at 60 miles an hour, then going into a turn and then climbing up, it's like a roller coaster ride. So it's a phenomenal track.
So the kart track is just under a mile long, and we have the most elevation change of any go-kart track in the world. You can see behind me, we're looking at a 4.5-story drop down, and that is the most elevation change of any go-kart track in the world. And we rent public carts, we hold races with the racing carts and more professional carts. We also offer racing schools that will put you from basically walking the track all the way up to a 2-stroke cart doing about 75 miles an hour.
You can race on the karting track in general public. It's typically Monday to Sunday at 1 p.m. I think sessions start. Simply booking a session, you come along. They also sell carts there as well.
So primarily what we rent on a Tuesday through Sunday basis is just our what we call the pro concession carts, the rental carts. They're a rental design cart. It's meant for public consumption, racing hard 6 days a week, and they're 13 horsepower, they're ungoverned, 390cc Hondas, so they'll do pretty close to 55 and 60 on the backstretch. And that's what we serve every day that we're open. It's $35 a session. A session is 10 minutes long. You can do 3 for $85 and 5 for $125, which is a total of 50 minutes. So we're also the North American importer and distributor of Praga racing carts. So Praga is made over in Italy, and we sell all of their brands, all of their carts, and that ranges from what they call the Praga baby cart, which is designed for 5, 6, 7-year-old kids first getting into karting, and we can go up to a shifter cart. It's about $14,000, can get to about 125 miles an hour. 6-speed transmission on a go-kart, and we've got everything in between. You've got the LO206s, which is more of your budget-friendly, your beginner entry into kart racing. It's a 4-cycle Briggs & Stratton engine, and then from that we have our newest class. It's called the KA100. It's a 2-stroke air-cooled engine, 22 horsepower, capable of lap times of about 53 to 54 seconds. In comparison, your average lap time in a concession kart is probably about 1:10, so it's considerably faster. So if you're interested in a racing go-kart, we have a full line here. Several garages just full of inventory of nothing but kart chassis, kart parts. It's not expensive as you think. We can get you into your entry-level go-kart for about $5,400. And now, of course, you're going to pay for the tires, the fuel, the seats, minor maintenance like that. But it definitely is the entry level of motorsports of how to get into racing. We can do it as low as $5,400.
So if you're looking to get into the sport, and you look at all the top Formula One racers, most of them started in karting. It's a legitimate racing, motorsports activity in its own right.
You can look at drivers like Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, all these famous drivers. They all get started driving go-karts. And so, in other words, if you want to become a professional driver, chances are you're going to start in go-karts. We're one of the only outdoor go-kart tracks really in this part of the country. There's a few others in other states, but we're talking 4 to 6 hour drives, if not more.
Well, we've reached the finish line and it's time to go. Make sure you join us next time on Georgia Detours.